Hi, I'm Dan Gable, and this is another episode of Big Agent in a Small Town. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the insurance coverages that are important for heating and air contractors. Here in Illinois, this time of year, we're definitely very grateful for our heating and air contractors. We actually had record high temperatures last week, and so I know they were extremely busy helping people, and obviously everyone's really grateful for that. And so, going in the first coverage for contractors in general and heating and air contractors is general liability. And general liability is going to pay for claims of bodily injury or property damage resulting from your work. So it's pretty self-explanatory there. One thing with heating and air contractors, more and more companies are also offering an option of professional liability coverage as well too. And you may wonder where the difference comes in professional liability and general liability. If you look at the language in your policy that everyone just stashes away and never looks at, will commonly see an exclusion on general liability coverage for what's called your work. So that's where professional liability comes in and is providing coverage where there's that exclusion on general liability. So, for example, let's say that you were doing heating and air and duct work for a brand new building, and somehow in the course of your work you make an error in some way where the ductwork has to be completely redone and it delays is on the building of a house or sort of a business building. Your general liability would not provide coverage on that because that's considered your work. Professional liability would come in, and that's where you could have coverage for that exposure. So that is something that's important, and professional liability is pretty affordable as part of a commercial package policy for contractors in the heating and air industry. Next up is commercial auto. Obviously, normally heating and air contractors, I think of the fleet of vans and that's commercial auto coverage is going to provide you coverage for your vehicles itself, and then also liability coverage too if one of your employees was involved in an at-fault accident. Next is property coverage. If you own your own building, you obviously want coverage for your office and or storage building and any business personal property there. And I just recommend to make sure that you understand the difference between replacement costs and actual cash value on the building, because that can make a big difference in the event of a claim. Another particularly important coverage for heating and air contractors is what's called inland marine coverage. And there are a couple parts of that are particularly important for heating and air contractors. The first is going to be to cover your tools and equipment, whether they are they're at your location, in a vehicle, on a job site. So you definitely want that coverage for your tools and equipment. The other important coverage part on inland marine is what's called an installation floater. So if you've got a new furnace or air unit that you're taking out to install, that installation floater coverage will provide coverage for that unit while it's at your business, while it's in transit on a vehicle, or while it's at a job site before you've installed it. So especially with the cost of units and everything going up, that's a really important coverage to have as well. Next up, I'll just touch on real quickly is cyber coverage, and a lot of contractors don't feel like there's a need for that. I'll just say where we see the biggest exposures for heating and air contractors, and that is for what's called social engineering or funds transfer fraud, and also a network liability coverage as well too. And so that's something that I recommend more kind of a one-on-one discussion, because exposures can be a lot different for different contractors with that. Next up is workers' comp, and that is extremely important. That's what protects you if you do have an employee get hurt while they are in the line of work. So the coverage is pretty self-explanatory, but it's extremely important, and you also want to make sure you have things like a safety manual, return to work program, things like that as well to make your workers' comp costs as affordable as possible. Last up is the commercial umbrella policy, and what this does is it provides an additional limit of liability over your general liability, your auto liability, and your employer's liability on your workers' comp policy. So with the increase in things like medical costs and litigation costs, the umbrella is also really important. Also, if you're doing any commercial work, more and more, at the very least, $1 million umbrella is becoming a part of those contractual requirements as well too for commercial work. So this is a brief overview of insurance coverages for heating and air contractors. If you'd like to discuss your individual business and your situation more, I would love to do that. You can reach out by phone or text at 217-932-2267 or by email to Dan, D-A-N, at shoremurphycasey, shoremurphycasey.com. Thanks for watching, and please also subscribe to our Shore Murphy and Associates of Casey YouTube channel and like this video. Thank you.